Putin was the first one to propose some sort of talks in Turkey on Thursday.
Well, as this plays out and develops, we know that all eyes will be on that meeting if he decides to take that trip. We'll update our viewers. Julia Binbrook live for us at the White House. Thank you, Julia. Vanchin?
Well, also here with us in studio this morning is John Thomas. He is Republican political strategist and managing director of Nestpoint. John, first of all, welcome. It's good to have you in studio. Man, we have a lot to talk about this morning. I want to do something a little bit different. I want to step back for our viewers this morning, for everyone watching, and I want to give them some context in terms of what's just happened globally, because I don't hear a lot of the legacy media or the mainstream media talking about it from this perspective. I don't know if that's intentional or just unintentional, because they're not looking at it from that perspective. But the president just basically made a historic move for our country. He just basically realigned our position of strength and our role as a peacemaker versus a focus on war. Talk about, for our viewers, the significance of what we're watching happen, because it's not about a signing, one signing or two signing. It's not about, you know, some of the things we're seeing, the pageantry. It's about much more.
Yeah, it's a broader strategy. I mean, this is really right. We've gone, what President Trump is doing is he's taking economic prosperity and he's using that as a common bond to bring peace to the Middle East. I mean, this is a significant thing. Not to mention the broader plan here is that a closer alignment with the United States and the Middle East weakens China's strength, hold in the rest of the world.
And let's talk about that, because right now the U.S. is number one when it comes to AI development. We know everything is moving towards AI, especially with economic strength and commerce. AI is number one, and U.S. is number one in AI. China is number two.
That's right.
So what happens now that we're bringing in Saudi Arabia, now that we're looking at bringing in Qatar? How does that realign that?
Well, this is a huge deal, because now it's a two-on-one fight, essentially. Look, China, even though they are number two in the AI war, that could quickly flip. That China knows how to, because they have a command-control communist economy, they can put a lot more government resources into AI than we can in the private sector. So taking the Saudis' private investment, combining it with the U.S.'s edge at whether it's ChatGPT or Elon Musk's Grok, this essentially is ensuring us long-term that we win that critical AI fight. And that may determine whether we remain a superpower in 10 years or not.
And that's a critical tipping point right there. Let's talk a little bit about Syria. We were part of bringing more historical context. We were part of making sure that children in Syria were not being used as targets for chemical warfare. Our relationship with Syria is a very unique one. Talk about the significance of this, the removal of sanctions that the president did just yesterday.
This caught a lot of people by surprise, but I think it really speaks to a couple things about President Trump. One, he likes to make deals. And two, he's a peacemaker. He's trying to come in and reset relations. In Syria, this is a big deal because he's giving Syria a second chance. He's bringing in, opening up economic opportunities, both for U.S. companies to do business in Syria, which will lift up the United States. And Syria right now is being crippled because of the sanctions. Right. They can't regrow. Until those are lifted, their economy can't regrow, which makes it more vulnerable, quite frankly, to Chinese influence, as well as bad actors to take control.
One quick other topic I want to touch on is this plane. In the media, there's a lot of talk about the plane. There is criticism, and of course, we need to ask these questions. There's criticism about conflicts of interest. Why would we take a gift like this from Qatar? I remember in 2003 when Qatar helped, they gave the United States Department of Defense $8 billion to build that base. I don't remember there being such criticism when we took all of that money. I mean, that base is the largest U.S. headquarters in the Middle East, strategically placed there to protect that area. They don't have a strong military. So to protect that area from Iran and other actors that have terrorist ties, from basically obliterating them. So our presence there is very important. Where do you see this plane fitting into that conversation? Because now that has become the new big shiny object in the room for the media to talk about. Is the criticism valid? And how does this play into this broader strategy, if at all?
I'm so glad you brought up that historical context, because no one is talking about the fact that the U.S. has received gifts, if that's what you want to call, from Qatar before. Look, here's the bottom line. Qatar offered this gift, which is a tool, a device. It's a big jet. Boeing wasn't able to deliver it in time, and they're still working on their own plane. It's going to take a number of years. I don't quite understand. If a foreign country wants to give the United States equivalent of $400 million, why would we not take that instead of sticking it to the American taxpayer to foot that bill? At a time when President Trump's saying we've got to spend less, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. So I think it's a smart play to take the jet, but the feigned outrage is a little bit far. This jet is for public use. It's not just President Trump flying himself. He brings teams of reporters and his staff. This is a presidential tool for the American people.
And so it's my understanding, too, that Air Force One, the current one, is 40 years old.
Yes.
And that this new jet is actually going to be given to the Department of Defense.
Yes.
Like we see the $8 billion that was given to the Department of Defense to build our military base there. But there is a question, because of the way that this is being talked about in the media. Should we be concerned about the terrorist ties that are fluid in and throughout the Middle East, and any potential ties with Qatar in receiving a gift like this?
Look, here's the good news. It's a flying hunk of metal. That means that our Department of Defense and our Secret Service and everything are going to have to go through every nut and bolt very closely to make sure there's no spy equipment on that at all. But no, I think it's just you have to look at it a little more closely, but just don't accept it blindly. As long as it's cleared from security purposes, I see no reason. This is going to make President Trump more effective as he travels the world stage, as well as his staff. And there's also additional new security measures that these new jets have to keep the president and his staff safe that the older jet didn't.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your perspective, and thank you for giving us the historical context. I know our viewers appreciate that.
Thanks for
every time
bringing
they
that
can
up.
get more information. Thank you, John. Good to see you.
Yeah.
And after the break,